Hello there, now here's one of my eBay purchases. I thought, shall we do an Allen set, or shall we do one of my eBay purchases, or shall we do a custom repair? Well, we're doing one of mine. I think we're doing a Rotel 220 for a customer tomorrow. So I bought this off eBay, the LCL Enterprise, which is the posh version of the LCL Economy. These were $49.99 new, but I did see them cleared as low as $14.99. And what's strange, it's come with a Chiser mic, so I'm sure we've got a Chiser that mic would be nice to go with, but of course it's been fitted with a 5-pin DIN for this radio, so we will use that. It's also come with a power supply, which I would expect to be wholly unsuitable. I think it once said 12 volts at 1.67 amps. That's going to be something interesting. Right, I'll tell you what, we'll plug this in right away, and because we're not going to do this with it. And of course, by using a 12 volt power supply, you are limiting your transmit power, because the radio is expecting 13.8 volts, and on most radios the output power is going to be altered by the power input voltage. No, not on some of the newer sets. So we'll plug that in. It didn't blow up. And let's see what we've got coming out. We could do this properly with we've got a CTVR power supply here coming, which is going to be overhauled. Let's see whether we can get these probes to go that far down. .45, so it does work, but it would limit the power. We'll probably I think we'll come back to that. But I tell you what, we'll run the radio off it immediately. It's had all these crocodile clips and things, not banana plugs and whatever. But it's not a general power supply, or it's a IT type of power supply. It's not aimed at radio, and that just looks a bit dimmer than I'd expect. We'll still get good comments that get auto deleted, you know. Any mention of anything illegal, any mention of burners and linear amplifiers, auto deletes. So it's a shame, because I see them in the sandbox and I can't recover them. Right, let's switch picture in picture on, and straight away we'll just see what the power output is on channel 20 with the power supply provided. So we're on the 3 watt scale, and the radio is doing 2.3 watts. So we're going to now swap. Seeing as this is on banana plugs, we may as well plug it into the power supply direct. Instead of using the crocodile clips. So we're now at 13.8 volts, and let's look at what the power supply, what difference it's made. Well, straight away we're more than 3 watts. It's 3.1 watts. I've still left the clipboard in the other room. So 2.2 watts, 3.1 watts, they've not helped themselves, and I think, you know, that kind of power difference is going to make a difference. Um, 2nd of June 2023, LCL Enterprise not Starship Enterprise. So we're doing 3.1 watts. And on channel, paid about 20 quid for this. What we got on here? We've got 2.8 watts. And on channel 1, .4 watts. It's not very balanced. It should have high-low power. It does. Back to channel 20. Low power is 260 milliwatts. And the current consumed is 1.12. Deviation, if we can believe what this has to say. Just have to tune it in. Wally. It says 1.5 kilohertz, but we'll check it with the test set behind me. We're unlikely to need to do the VCO. And the frequency, the test set's only been on 10 minutes, so we'll take this with a pinch of salt. This is only 79102, so that's absolutely fine. That'll rise by the time everything's warmed up to about 115. Right, let's have a look at receive. And at least with these sets, you've got an extension speaker socket, which is more than can be said for certain Yate radios using the Great chassis, which we'll be doing some more of on Sunday. Here we go. Cyanide meter on. Switch over to that camera. That's the one the poltergeist moves. Get rid of this power supply off the bench. Well, that's what we got. So straight away we have got 0.65 for 10 dB. .55. And these aren't the best for bleed over. One day we'll start testing for that, but I just got too much on to set the bench up. What am I doing? Oh, it's 1.5. 1.5. Squelch threshold, it's and tight. So we'll do the squelch tight first. That's lousy. Maximum squelch is a paltry 1.7 microvolts. That's dreadful. Might work here, but it won't work in a town. It'd be hissing all the time. But on the other hand, let's see where it is for threshold. We'll put the signal generator to standby. I'll switch to the attenuator so you can see what I'm doing. Set the squelch on the radio to threshold. There we go. Switch the signal generator back on. Straight in. It's coming in at 0.6 microvolts. And it's got good hysteresis, so it tracks well. Turn the volume down. It doesn't have a meter. Good. Doesn't have a meter. Doesn't have a meter lamp. Switches work. There's one of them at the back. Yes, but volume control, cleaning. Socket works. Not got that. It's come with that. And we haven't tried the internal speaker yet, so we'll get it opened up. Now, how do we do these? I don't have stuff for. I don't have that type of thing at all. These aren't original. It's going to be try and get something else in there. This will be really frustrating if I've got to go over to the organ workshop and start getting hexagonal keys. Perhaps I didn't want it stealing. I have to pause the video and see what Mr. Chippy's got on his bench I can steal. Right, that's borrowed Mr. Chippy's tool. Better sneak that back before it gets noticed. There's a lot of screws in these cases. Gold paint on everything. I'm going to be playing the organ tomorrow with these gold nails, and I've got it's for a wedding. So, you know, if the photographer comes and I get my photo taken with gold nails. You see how bothered I look, really. Wedding's at Scratchy Corner. I'm going to have to take that back off and that back off, and we'll probably have to unplug it as well because the case slides off on these. To use a smaller screwdriver, I think. I must say this is in better condition than most I see. Usually they're rusted away. I think we can use the ordinary screwdriver for these, to be honest. It's the next row. It's these. So you have to take out. Actually, these may fit as well. Yeah, they do. These usually end up being push-in screws because the threads failed. Well, I think they still are M3. Just goes to show what I get normally wood screws shoved in. So 8 screws later, then this outer sleeve, whilst holding that bit, slides. So you can slide it off the connectors like that. That's on one side, and you're left like that, and the speaker lid is like that. Right, so we'll put the instrument speaker back. While I've got it out, 22333 I think the serial number. Made in Hong Kong. 22533. So I don't know whether I said, but the Enterprise, this one, has a green display. The Economy is exactly the same radio but has a red display. This is the later version. And actually I didn't see the Enterprise for $14.99. I saw the Economies for $14.99. So it's actually quite straightforward. And they're reliable. I can't remember whether they normally do 4 watts, but we'll find out. And remember, our 4 watts is 4.4 of anybody else's watts. I've said before about the selectivity of the test equipment. It's only looking for the your fundamental frequency, and all the interference is filtered out. So 2779125. We'll go for transmit. And we're going to go up the transmitter. That's the one done with the spectrum analyzer, so we're not going to touch that. You know, the way it's thrown together, it's you know, got a coil there on an angle, and that's kind of typical. So it says LC7137 synthesizer, so it's standard enough. And you've got the VCO here for transmit and receive. You've got the trimmer capacitor there for the frequency set, which we may come back to much later on. And then all this is that's your transmit, and here's the receive. And we do have the circuit diagram if I run out of ideas. So make sure we've got our camera on the main meter. We're beyond full scale deflection, so we'll straight onto there. Right, well straight away we're up to 4.1 watts. So we still need to carry on peaking. So that was peak. That was peak. And this will be turned down for 4 watts. As it's warming up, we've dropped to 4 watts. So we've now got 4 watts at channel 20. On channel 40 we've got 4 watts. On channel 1 we have got 3.95 watts. I bet we're drawing more current now. I'll just go to channel 20. 1.45. And our low power, no, I don't think it's adjustable. Could be wrong. It's a long time since I saw one. We've got how many presets? We're going to have one for squelch, one for deviation. So we won't have got a low power preset. And the low power is 100. Well, that's bizarre. It's dropped. 170. Goodness knows how that works. So just look carefully. So I'd expect I'd say I'd expect what for deviation? I could dig the blurb out, couldn't I? I'm looking just what's near the receive side. I'm going to plump for that for deviation. Yeah. Wallow. So we've got 2.2 to 2.5 there. I'll verify that on the test set behind me later on. That's the transmit covered. That was easy. Now the receive. And it's already very good. So with 100 microvolts on the signal generator, we need to turn our attention to the oscilloscope. And enough volume for a meaningful trace, and then determine which we think is going to be the detector. Well, it's either going to be that or that. One of them is going to be an IF, and one of them is going to be a detector. Let's go for that one. Doesn't feel right. I think that's one of the IFs. I think that's one of the IFs. I've run out of coils. I'm going to have to pause the video and get the circuit diagram out. So if we look at the circuit diagram, what have we got coming out of the... So L5 is going to be the detector in this case, L5. There's our MC3357. So I've printed the layout as well. This is a I originally photocopied the instruction book when I bought one in '83 or whenever it was, and then I've subsequently scanned that photocopy. So it's not like it's first generation, even though I did it originally on a good photocopier. I've already forgotten what I've said. It's L5, isn't it? That. Which way on are we? Oh, it's mirror image, just to be daft. So that looks to be L4, and that says L5. I think that's where we are then. Okay. Right, so we'll now go on to the synod meter. So I said we're already doing really well on this. We drop the attenuator till we get about 4 dB, and then we'll go through the front end. Put a bigger signal on for that one. Put a much bigger signal on. Yeah, that's the right kind of waveform. Not sure what we've got here. L11, 7, 10. No. L7, 10. 8 and 9. We've got L1, L1, L2 and L3 that we've covered, and it looks like this is the early stages of the transmit chain, which we've already done, and we've got to 4 watts, so I don't need to touch that. But that's what it looks like from the circuit diagram when we're looking at L8 and 9 there, and they're coming from the synthesizer and feeding the early stages of the transmitter. So we've gone past that and they're spot on. I don't think we're going to find as much of an improvement on receive, but you never know, so I will now set the... Are we still on that? We are still on that. Let's see where 12 dB is now. So I've got 0.78. Well, in that case I fixed it worse. No, that's worse. How can that be? Let's go through it again. Just have a look at that on here. Ah, right, so the detector so I've now got the best possible waveform. So it may be that the sensitivity is better when the detector's not quite right. So I haven't fixed it worse, but it's how it should be. So let's look at this again. Here's the detector. Here's the shaping. We've got the best waveform there. Let's go back to the cyanide meter. Drop it enough to actually get a reading which we can work with, like there. And then let's look at this detector again. So I've kind of done between the two for the best waveform and best recovered audio. So let's see now what we've got, or whether I've fixed it even worse. So now we've got 0.63. I'm going to say 0.64. So it is there. 10 dB. 0.51. 20 dB. 1.5. So after that you can see that there's hardly any change whatsoever, which just shows how spot on this was set. In fact, the only thing that was out was that coil, which has affected the transmit power. So whoever set that up knew what they were doing. Squelch, which we presume to be the other preset. Squelch to full. I hope it is squelch. And you know what? I'm going to have to look this up as well. So it's R63 by the looks of things. So where's the R63? You wouldn't think such a simple set could be a headache. You know what? It's low power. That is low power on transmit. So back to transmit, 3-watt scale. Give that a quick spray. .400 milliwatts. Well, I didn't expect that. That's why that figure had changed. So your squelch is factory set. That's it. So what you get. Let's see what it now reads. So we've changed the tuning slightly, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. So we'll see. So full squelch is now 1.4 microvolts. So that's even more sensitive. And the squelch threshold .25 microvolts. It's only suitable for rural locations. I tell you, it's going to be fine here, but you wouldn't be able to use this in a town. You're just going to be picking up hash all the time. So now the test set's warmed up, we've got a frequency of 27,79120. We'll just pop that up the tiniest amount. It doesn't need it, but just for the demonstration. We'll leave it at that. So we just need to clean the volume control. And there we go. I have to borrow I'll put Mr. Chippy's thing back and I'll borrow a service hole with a spout from his bench. Right, so having borrowed that off Mr. Chippy's bench, at least this is the type where it's got holes in it. There's no problem with the squelch control. So just make sure we can hear that speaker alright. Go and plug the instrument one. Put another tone on. Turn the volume up. That sounds alright. Certainly had some rework, but I think that's more factory than later on. So the board number's MEP1219. So we'll get that put back together and we'll plug the aerial in. Right, well, it's sat there talking on 19. It's Friday, it is 11:45, as in midday. Right, well, we'll leave this on and we'll just on the air test later on with Mr. Chippy. So there we are, that's the LCL Enterprise, very basic set, and weak squelch. If you live in a town, it's going to sit there hissing all the time. Full 4 watt output, good sensitivity. There you go, thanks for watching.